Good morning, everybody. So I'm Diana Hinkle, and I'm jumping in for Sharon this morning. So welcome to the Golden Drop call. So this is a call for tips and tricks on using essential oils. So like all of you, I love using our essential oils that we have. So today what I get to do is share with you tips and tricks on using them on your horses or your pets in general. So my passion happens to be in that particular world, using essential oils on your horses. And I really give credit to some of my team members who have been passionate about that as well. And I can give you a lot of shout outs for different people that I've learned some things from over the years. So I wanted to share some simple ways of being able to use your essential oils and offer some answers for questions that you might have. So I actually own 6 horses. I know that's a lot for some people, and they can be a challenge for me. So what do you do I kind of look at this as an emergency, and what it is that you're looking to get, what's your result that you want. A lot of people don't understand that what we use for ourselves can be used on a horse. And that you have to remember too that a horse is 10 times more sensitive than we are. So more is never necessary. Just because their size is bigger doesn't mean that you have to put more on them. 1 to 2 drops is usually efficient unless you're doing a blend. A horse has, the hair on a horse is actually like a tube. It absorbs, like our skin absorbs. And so a horse does the same thing. And so if you're putting different oils on them, know that you really would like to put a carrier oil with that if you can, because you're going to have better absorption for one and less evaporation of your essential oil. So carrier oil is nothing like I like using the fractionated coconut oil because it's clear. There's no odor to it, and it's not greasy. It soaks into your skin very quickly. So with a horse, it does the same thing. So what I'd like to offer you are different ways of putting them on your horse. Okay, there's a lot of oils we can use, and I'll give you some ideas on what you can use for different problems that I've used and that others have used in the past. So we know we use them aromatically, we know we use them topically, and we can use our essential oils internally. So on a horse, you don't want to put that on their nose. Please don't do that. So again, their sense of smell is 10 times or just way greater than ours. And so by putting an oil on their nose, they cannot ever get away from it. They are very sensitive in that way. So it's easier to just offer them to smell the oil. And how do you do that? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that. One is just don't take the lid off, okay? Let them smell it with the lid on. They will smell it. You don't need to take the lid off for them to smell it. If you decide that you want to put it so it's aromatic for them, let's say you're going somewhere that you want the horse to be calmer, put it on a bridle, put it on their halter, put it on something where you can take that smell away from them later. So that they can get away from it. It's like if we love smells, but if you had to smell the same thing all day long, is that something you would like? Probably not. Unless it's candy, of course. We all like chocolate, most of us. So let them be able to get away from that smell. And that's a very quick response, just like with us. They get a very quick response too. And contrary to what we think, smell also helps the digestive system. And I'll explain that a little bit more with specific oils that help for that. If you're going to put oils internally, then you would want to dilute it, but what you want to do is, if it's an emergency situation, then by all means, pull their bottom lip and put a couple drops on their lower lip, okay? If you need to. Typically, you would want to kind of let the oil be on your fingers, let it dry just a little bit, and then get the residue on their, what do I say? not under the lip, but on the bottom lip on the inside, okay? That's the quickest way to their bloodstream. Just like us, sublingually under the tongue is the quickest way to get to our bloodstream. So with that, that would be an internal. You can also put it in their feed if you're giving them any kind of grain products. You can do that with it. And cinnamon is a great way if you're trying to help a horse with their blood sugars, because I think nowadays we have a lot of horses that are not as sufficient in clearing the carbohydrates that they get. So they're insulin deficient for some reason. So, and I think it has a lot to do with our feeds and the hay that we feed them. So cinnamon is really good for that. It only takes 1 or 2 drops, okay? Don't put more. I can't stress that enough, that you don't need more, okay? So topically, where would you place an oil topically? Well, there's plenty of places on the horse where you can put topically could be behind the ears. Make sure that's not a hot oil, okay? Don't put oregano behind the ears. That's a no-no. You can place on the pole, which is behind the ears, okay? But don't let it run down the neck, because that can be a sensitive area. If it runs down, you might get this nice welt. I actually had someone do that one time in the very, very beginning. It's like, what do they do? What do they do? Because they thought that they had hurt their horse, and it's like, no, it's just a sensitive reaction, so it'll go away. You can also put, for some of you that don't have horses, so if you got a question, please raise your hand and I'll answer your question, because it can be this whole nother lingual, another language. There's under the foot, okay? So we have our feet, they have their feet. So that's another area that you can apply essential oils to. There's the hairline at the top of their hoof. You can apply them there. You can apply it along their spine. You can put it under their tail, okay, but there again, don't put a hot oil there, okay, like oregano or cinnamon. You don't want to do that. So plenty of places to do that, right? So aromatically is really quick. Topically we know is, and so is the internal use. If I have a horse that's colicky, which means that they have an impacted digestive system, I can use bergamot oil. Love that oil for that. I actually keep it, I actually have an emergency kit that with specific oils in my barn or down where my horses are. And I kind of have 2 different ones. So bergamot is really good for a horse that's colicky. You can just let them smell it. And then I always tease people, because this is the fun part. If you get a clothespin, get a wood clothespin. If you have horses or know someone that has horses, give them a little sample of bergamot, or bergamot, however you want to say it. And then give them the clothespin. And the clothespin is to clip to their nose. But before you do that, you apply the bergamot on the clothespin. You're going to get the smell, right? That's aromatic. And then we're going to clip it to their nose. The reason for that, even if it's only for a couple seconds, you're releasing natural endorphins to help with discomfort, is what you're doing. So the bergamot is going to help along with that, along with the natural. So bergamot has the same compounds as Bounding, which is a medication that we get for that problem, that specific problem. So call your veterinarian if that's happening. Use that in the meantime. And if you've only got to pay for a farm call for your veterinarian by the time they get there, then I think that's money in the bank, right? So bergamot is a really good one to have around. I also either have lavender or serenity for those that need a little calming. You also can use On Guard is great for another one that's for immune support. Recently, I had a horse that couldn't walk. I didn't know if she had a stone bruise. I didn't know if she had an abscess. I had no idea what it was. until, so what I did, and this is easy for some people, but you would put your essential oils in your bucket of water, warm water, and then while that foot's soaking, you want to actually put some Epsom salt in there too, because the Epsom salt will actually help the oils bind to the water. But when the leg hits the water, those oils will actually soak into the leg. So they're getting the oils that you're wanting. So usually I will use the Melaleuca, which is antibacterial. I also like frankincense, which is another good one. So you kind of have to look at what you got. You could just use On Guard. On Guard is pretty much everything that we're thinking about, bacterial, viral, all of that. And it doesn't matter if it's only a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. You've got a clean hoof. So what I did for this, and I start thinking about this, is I'd never thought about this particular product before, but the Correct X is awesome because it's got all your big name products in there. It has your lavender, your frankincense, your helichrysum. It has some really good product in there, and sandalwood. So what I did in this case was put a whole bead of a small bead or line around the frog, which is, if you lift up, for those that don't know what the frog is, under the foot there's this little V symbol. It looks like a little V, but I put a line of that Correct X around there and then wrapped her foot and then kept her where she could stay clean. So a week later, she was totally walking on that foot again. But I mean, she could not walk. I mean, we barely got her up from laying down one day. And she had an abscess so bad, and we didn't know this until later, that her whole sole is sloughing off. So instead of, it's acting like a Band-Aid to her. So we, instead of normal products that a farrier would put on there, we use the On Guard and let it go and soak in underneath, because that's antibacterial and antifungal. So we're going to get rid of bacteria. So I thought that was really good, because I really like using farriers that will welcome what I do. Instead of using their products, I want to use my products. You know, there are some great products out there, but I want to try to use what I can. And if for those of you that don't know a whole lot or would like to learn more, there are some really good hair pads now. And I don't know, can you guys see this? This is a new one that's out. I didn't like the old ones, but I like this one. This is much better. It's not just a difference of they're looking at a human aspect and then telling you to just go use like 10 drops or something, like, because that wasn't what you should do. Because in some cases it can really be devastating to your horse if you use too much. And then on the back of it, it has a lot of recipes, which are really good too. If you want, I can try to scan this and post it online so that you guys have it. I also have some other stuff too. So again, think about what you're wanting to do for your horse. Where's the problem? Colicky horse, bergamot, and a clothespin. If you feel like if you don't have that, use digestin. You can rub digestin on their flank, which is usually the area where they're compacted. Generally speaking, it'll probably help them if you see the first signs of any problems. A lot of other oils that we can use for different things, like respiratory support, you can use Breathe. Serenity is a great one that most of the horses seem to like better than just lavender, for that calming effect by just smelling the oil. And horses in general are really good about telling you what they want. You can offer them an oil and they will either stand there or they will want to eat it. I don't know how many times I've presented and we have our oil sitting on the table somewhere and we're in an arena, and that horse typically gets closer and closer to those oils to the point where they are all over the oil. So we just start going through the oils to decide which one they want. And because it's so much fun when we get to ask them what they want. Because in the wild, they get to choose what they need. But when we have them in captivity, we just give them what we think they need. But it may not be the solution for them. It may not be the best solution. So it's fun to be able to offer that. In the very, very beginning, I never really thought about anything of this, but I have to tell you a story with my husband. Because Christie Messick was here, and I love you, by the way. I don't know if you're on the call. But she came to my home and presented a class for the horses. And so when we went to the demo part of this class, my husband, because we took one, if anybody knows horses, you take a mare away or one horse out of the herd, and the other ones kind of go frantic. Well, that's what they were doing. So he went out there with a Serenity bottle and just stuck his hand through the gate as they went running by, and every single one of them stopped about 10 feet up, turned around, came back, smelled the bottle, and walked away. Every single one of them did that. And if we weren't watching him, we would have went, did that really happen? If he would have told us that story, we would never have believed him. But because we saw it, it was like, oh, did you guys see that? That was awesome. It was just totally amazing to me. So, you know, that tweaks your interest. Why did they do that, right? So that's why they smelt that going by, even though they were running. They were like, wait, what is that? So they turned around and smelled it, and it was so effective that they just walked off. Never had another problem after that. They were all calm. And so, you know, it's thinking about those ideas that I can change this situation, but how do I do it? It's pretty simple. When you go places, how many of you take your horse and trailer? How do you clean your trailer? On Guard's great for cleaning up the trailer, by the way. You can just put it in a spray bottle with water. Make sure that if you're doing that, every time you spray or before you spray, make sure that you are shaking the bottle, because oil and water don't mix, right? But that's the most cost-effective way to treat or to get rid of the bacteria that's in your trailer if you decide you want to do that. I know some people use bleach, but I do not like bleach and never have liked bleach. So this is an option. Lemon is really good if you want to put lemon in the water to help in detoxifying their bodies. 1 drop per gallon of oil, and 1 drop of essential oil per gallon is great. Okay, you don't need much more than that. Again, they're sensitive. And I have a whole list too of oils that can benefit for different things. So I'll try to get that posted too. I'm pretty sure I have that on my computer, and I'll post that. So Renee will help me with that. I'm sure she will.
Of course, yeah, because I have a friend of mine that has 26 horses. They do a charity with kids, and when you talk about the oils that the horses pick, what oils they want, well, they have the horses pick the child. They put the child into the arena, and the horse picks the child. So yeah, they are so smart in so many different angles and stuff. So yeah, if you could post those oils, I know Amanda would love to find out.
Yeah, and you know, and my husband said that forever. We don't pick the horses. If the horse picks you, okay? So if you bond with the horses because they picked you, it isn't because you picked them, you know? So, and it's like there are people you like, and then there's people that are just acquaintances, right? There are people that you love to hang around, and the people that you just kind of, okay, how you doing? You know, horses are the same way. So we don't give them enough credit. That's why I love being able to go to a horse, let them pick what they need, because we may not know what they need. We're at the, well, the doctor doesn't know, the veterinarian doesn't know, but here's this problem, right? But there's a lot of other ways of trying to figure things out. I know we have a massage therapist that has like a far infrared thing where you can, it picks up the heat. And so if you've got an abscess in a foot, it can actually pick up that abscess, which is fun, because if you're not sure, this is another way of being able to know what you're dealing with. And so for me, it's a win-win. Even with my when I do my fly spray during the summer. I don't use TerraShield here. And because TerraShield for my area doesn't work as well. So that's another thing you have to look at. Where are you located and what will work better for you and your horses? And so I just put together whatever I really want the result of. So like if I know I want some worming, so fennel is good for worming. I want calming, so I use bergamot. Eucalyptus is great to help in getting to eliminate like bot. We have a lot of bot flies here, and they're like this little bee, but it's eucalyptus is good. So I just kind of put my combination together, and I finally think I found one last year that I really like. I'm gonna try it again this year, and I can post that too as well. But so Renee, you said that your friend gives them peppermint candies as a treat. Yes, and so peppermint's really good. Okay, and peppermint you can give to a horse. You don't want to give a whole lot because even if they just smell it, it's doing the same thing for them as it does for us. And that is helping the brain with oxygen along with any digestive issue. If you are going to a horse show or if you're involved with your big name, like your what do I want to say? Your different federations, like or events for dressage, things like that. Peppermint is illegal to use. Okay, and that's why they feel that it gives them an advantage. So you can't use peppermint. So make sure that you always know what your rules are when it comes to those, because even though we don't think essential oils are a drug, they consider it as a drug. And so we cannot have that around the horses. I know it's kind of funny. She goes, but it's not a drug. So be mindful of that. Yeah, peppermint's great for that. So so when you are using your tools, your books, online information, what is the result you want? Take a look at it, and then you can use that on your horses, but only use 1 or 2 drops. If you want to bathe them in a horse, so say you've got a mare that's very cranky because it's their time of the month or whenever they're coming in season, you can actually put your oils in your warm bucket. So like the Clary Calm that we have is wonderful, or Clary Sage, either way. You can put that in your bucket, take your cotton glove or a sock, anything that you can put your hand in there. It soaks up the water, but it also puts the oils on your cotton glove, okay? And then you can do a body brace, and that's where you can actually apply put it on their spine with water, because water is a driver, okay? So that's one way of getting them to be a little bit in a different mindset. You can put it in your shampoos if you want to use it in your shampoos. Melaleuca is a great choice for rain rot if you've got that going on. So you don't need to change out what you have, just add the essential oils to what you have. Okay. I could probably go for a long time telling you different things of what you can use, but number one thing is just go to your book, go to your online, go research what it is that you're looking for and find what relates to you and put it together. And because no matter what, you're going to use things that are going to work. There are some oils that you do want to be mindful of not to give to your horse. Like we wouldn't want to use deep blue, because deep blue, even though it's great for us, it has chamomile in there, which is part of the tansy family, okay? And so the blue tansy, tansy is not something good for their liver. If I only had that and I felt that I needed it, I would use it, okay? But I'd use it sparingly, and I wouldn't use it consistently. And I would make sure that I follow up with a lemon to detoxify the ketones in their liver, okay? So you don't want that. So any time I have to look at the situation, what do I have, what's the best thing for that situation, and then go from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Diana. Should we open it up for any questions?
Yeah, anybody have any questions? Or something that you can offer? Oh,
All right, let's let her go.
okay. Well, I appreciate you guys being on here today, and I'll get all these things posted because I know there's a lot that you can learn as far as horses go. But there again, just remember, just put the oils on them. You'll be fine.
Great. Thanks, Diana.
Thank you, Renee.